Greetings, fellow hobbyists. Today an expedition for the rocky drylands is taking place, featuring the dry Grass Tuft Starter Box. Join us in this quick step-by-step basing guide. This box is a straightforward kit that comes with the essentials for crafting these thematic bases. It comes with the 4 different grass tufts that we'll be using, along with a bottle of PVA to glue them. In addition to the glue, the box includes a pair of steel precise tweezers that will aid you in this quest. Inside, you'll also find a booklet that can help you use the tufts and contains some hints and tips for your basing journeys. But before using our starter box, let's first delve into how to build and paint the ground scene. Prep your workspace and start by creating a layout with some loose rocks and dry branches. Take your time to think on an ideal scene to best fit your models. Try to make the rocks face the same orientation, mimicking the bedrock of the landscape. Glue them in place using cyanoacrylate. For this theme, we'll be focusing on a rocky scenario filled with the remains of burned trees and cracked earths. As such, think on some areas to feature the crackle texture as a main element, without these larger rocks and twigs. Next, apply an earth texture over the whole ground area, using a spatula or a brush. This will be the base layer, where we'll build the rocky earth of the scene. Build both thicker and thinner zones with the paste, in order to remove the initial flatness of the base. You can even cover some of the rocks as edges, simulating rock formations coming from under the earth. Also, don't forget to clean the border of your bases, by removing the excess paste while it's still wet. Once the texture is dry, we can move on to the crackled clay effect. Prepare some slightly thinned down PVA glue and apply it over the areas where you want the cracked earth to be. This layer of PVA will help the cracks to open up while the texture dries. With the glue almost dry, let's place the crackle. Apply thicker layers for bigger sized cracks, and vice versa. Make sure to reach the edge of the bases in some of the zones. It creates a much more realistic result in the end. Let it dry completely. Now, apply a new layer of watered down PVA over the whole earth area. Avoid coating the rocks and branches for now. Sprinkle some sand or rock dust over the glue to add even more realism to the ground. Adjust the sands with a brush, covering and sealing the entire ground surface. After this, seal the remaining surfaces of the rocks and branches with just the glue. Give the bases some time to dry. They are now ready to be primed. Apply a dark brown spray primer over the areas with larger rock formations, followed by a beige over the entire surface. Grab your painting gear. We will start by dry brushing the earth area with a light beige color. Use a cardboard or paper towel to dry the paint in a brush. With it, apply the paint in fast sweeping motions to highlight the edges and details of the ground. Don't worry if you paint the rocks or branches in this step, since we will be painting them next. Note how the details start to pop immediately. Let's move on to painting the rocks with a mixture of brown colors. It's always good to paint natural elements with a blend of various tones. It creates a realistic base coat to work with. Let the paint dry before moving on to dry brushes. This time using a light salmon tone just for the rocks. To achieve the look of burnt twigs, paint them with a very dark grey or even black. Make sure to reach every crevice with the brush, as well as the underside of the branches, leaving no light coloured spots. The dark colour will greatly contrast with the overall pale tones, creating an interesting effect. With the base coat dry, employ the same dry brush technique. Use a lighter grey for this. Time to add some depth and shadows to the scene. With a dark brown wash paint, coat all the ground areas and twigs, leaving just the rocks. This step will also improve the look on the cracked earth by darkening the cracks. Make sure to reach all the base's edges. For the rocks, use a red-brown wash to intensify their color. You can do this while the previous step is still wet, and even blend both wash paints. Leave the bases for some time until they're completely dry. The next steps will focus on dry brushing each zone once more, using similar colors. Be a tad more careful and precise this time, focusing on the higher features of each element. For the branches, we went with a lighter grey color followed by an even lighter tone. These almost white details will help to mimic an ashy look for the burned pieces of wood. It's time for the dry pigments magic. Apply some pale beige or pale sepia pigment in some spots of the earth ground for a dry and dusty result. Use an old or cheap brush for this. Do the same with yellow dry pigment, but in less quantity. It will add a bit more color to the whole scene. Around and on top the rocks, spread some dots of red pigment, enhancing the rock's natural color. The red will also spice up your scene, prompting the feel of a rocky landscape rich in iron oxides and minerals. On the branches, apply black and white pigment alternately. Black and white will effectively simulate charred marks on the wood, as well as ashes that still remain around it. The final painting step is to paint the base's border black. Don't be hasty here, so that you end up with a clean border effect. Grab your glue and tuft tweezer, and let's add some life to the scene. We will start by placing a few spiky beige tufts in some zones. We like to cluster them near the shaded rocky soil, as if what is left of water tended to rest there against the stone. It's also good to start your layout with higher tufts, since they can serve as a background regarding your miniature. Don't overuse them though, leave more spots for the other grass. Next, create some clusters with a dry tuft. Remember to glue some tufts directly, touching the base's edge, to improve the realism of the transition. When applying tufts, it's very important to cluster them rather than spreading them randomly. This way they feel much more natural. For this theme, we recommend to save some spots of the cracked areas for the tiny tufts, but before we apply them, let's move on to the beige tufts. Apply a few using the same logic. Tweezers go a long way in helping you be more precise when placing your tufts. The final step is to add a good amount of tiny tufts. Their tiny shape and height allows them to serve as the linking element between the denser grass zones and the barren soil. Place some directly between the cracks, as well as in crevices on the rocks where windswept earth rests. You can even cluster them, creating small trails. And the bases are complete. Thank you for joining us on this calm, dry expedition. See you at our next basing guide.